Okay.
Hey, good evening.
I just want to say it because, like, we all miss Andrea. Like, we wish she was here. She is so photogenic. Like, that picture of her, she looks so cool.
It is. I was thinking that when I looked at it, how I got to give you something. And I changed my logo, which I'm not sure I like, but yeah,
Oh.
she is. She's great.
New logo, huh?
Yeah,
Has
but
it
I
debuted?
saw that.
yes, but I'm not sure I really like
How
it
did
that
I
much.
miss that?
It's no big deal because I'll probably change it.
Did I tune in late or something? How did I miss
No,
the
I just
logo?
did it the other day. I just did it
Where?
yesterday or the day before. That's all. But
Oh, well, I definitely haven't been watching.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been
I
catching
changed the
up.
thumbnail. All I did was fix the environmental coffee house with different font, and I put something in the middle. I'm not sure I like it. So what? I might change it, but I changed it on all our platforms.
The first reaction to change is resistance. So the second is acceptance. So just gotta wait. Just
I know, but I'm
pump
not
the
sure I
brakes
do.
on that. I don't know if I like. Just wait. Next time you look at it, you'll be like, "It's fine."
It's not that different. It's just I didn't like coffee house being 2 words. It's not.
Yeah.
So I fixed
Yeah.
it, but I don't even know if I like the font. Oh, what the hell? It's just a stupid logo, and it's not like we're so
I don't know.
professional, you know that. Although the trademark thing is true, I did it a long time ago.
You trademarked it. That used
Mhm.
to be part of my
Smart.
full-time job was trademarking stuff.
Yeah.
Yo.
I got really good at it. Ever copyright anything? I've copyrighted all my comics.
No, but you're an
I
artist. That's different. I don't have anything to copyright.
Well, the logo. But
Nobody's
in
gonna want it.
response to the
Ron
just
Burgundy.
jumping off that viewer comment there, that intro is one of my favorites to the show.
That's
I
cute.
really not. I mean, I'll pat my own back on every animation every time, but specifically, I didn't feel like I understood what the vibe of this show was gonna be until I heard. I think that's called Spine Cracker. That song that Andrea made for that.
Oh, okay.
I'm just like, oh, that's the vibe right there. It's like teetering right on the edge of doom and having a good time there. Like
Right
that's
on
good.
the edge of doom.
Yeah.
Sounds like my
Yeah.
channel.
Very
Oh my
much so.
god.
Well, I was gonna
poor
ask how you're
you.
feeling, Jake.
Yeah, poor baby.
Oh,
He's sick
not
with that.
hot.
Still. Well, it took me 3 weeks and I'm still having things. And I had food
Ugh.
poisoning last night, sick as a dog. I'm okay now, but oh my God, what a day.
Okay. See
Good.
how things come and go like that so quickly? I love those. Like one time I got sick for exactly 24 hours. I couldn't eat anything. I felt like, oh wow, I leaned out. I look kind of good now. I'm rested. Like I'll take a
You leaned
24-hour
out.
flu any day, right? Like give
Oh,
it to
God.
me.
Yeah.
Give me
Oh,
3
I'm
weeks
looking
of sickness in 12, 24 hours.
flu
I'll
hot.
be good. Walk
Fever
us through
hot.
it, Jake.
I like that.
Where are you at?
Well,
though?
apparently, yeah, I'm fever hot now.
Really?
That's what I well no, but I just like that as an expression.
Fever hot. I never got a fever with
yeah.
COVID, but I got
Fever hot to trot.
full body COVID, and I still have. I think I have. What is it? Post-COVID fatigue. I'm not the
Oh,
same
yeah.
as I was in
You've been-
October.
Jake's been doing shows though.
I know he's
I
amazing.
see no signs. What are you taking? B for Biden
an
12
old-
shots or what?
Close, yeah, an old Lithuanian cure,
Oh.
pick me up.
And you're too
Jane.
young to get Paxlovid,
Do a
right?
bump of that.
The antiviral.
I don't know. No, in all seriousness, it's just Verner's and a can-do attitude. I'm not gonna miss
Burners.
the State of the Union for nothing.
Old school, man. Old
Oh,
school.
oh
Burners
God.
and a can-do attitude. You're like a one-man union. It sounds
Yeah. Speaking of unions, holy shit.
pretty
Made
badass.
this coffee
You got
about
coffee.
2 hours ago.
I got a new bottle, but you can't see it with the
Liquid
green
IV.
screen.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Isn't it
That is
Predator
a cool
cloak.
effect.
It's green.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, because I think I was making myself sick with those glass bottles that I used over and over. No matter
Yeah, you
how
were ta-
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I cleaned them with vinegar and water, but I couldn't get the residue really well, even with a brush off the side from the vitamins that the vitamin fizzy I put in it. I think I was making
Yeah.
myself sick. Literally.
Mm.
That hit me, man, because I do the same thing. I love reusing cups over
Yeah,
and over.
well, not plastic. Do not reuse plastic. Fuck that. But this is a stainless steel one, and I'm
There you
washing
go.
it very well, and I don't have a dishwasher. Well, I do, but I took a shit like years ago. And although that's a drag when you're a canner, like I am, you can your food. It's nice to have a dishwasher to sterilize the jars. So, it's nice, but it's not
Yeah.
like a critical piece of machinery I have to have. I'm one person. So, but I
Oh,
learned my
man.
lesson.
Look
Oh,
at this
yeah.
comment. Let me tell you, I have the best guest.
You do. You have great
Holy
guests.
crap. Like, halfway through this interview, I don't know if you watched it tonight, Jake. Halfway through, and I was like, how am I doing this?
You know,
Like,
I
this is
was,
amazing.
This is not an interesting story, but I was trying, like, that's when I was gonna return to YouTube and start, setting up all this stuff. I didn't get here till like right before we started. I didn't have any internet.
Oh,
I discovered
What?
that while trying to watch that interview. So I'm delighted to hear that it just started working. So everything's great now.
Wow.
But
Do you have broadband?
I have a connection restored, but my only point being, I saw that you were doing that interview. I saw that post you put where you like tonight at 8 or whatever it was 8 interview
Yeah.
with Kalanji followed by left past 10, and that was the beginning of those woes.
Wednesday.
What was the highlight for you?
okay.
So I'm
I
gonna watch
have
after
had
this.
I've had guests on, and this is not a criticism, it's just a fact. I've had guests on where they have, because they do so many interviews and speaking engagements and they're pundits or whatever, they have
Mhm.
essentially prepared responses.
Hmm.
And so, like, they'll say something for the 50th time, and it just sounds rehearsed. They have it down.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not rehearsed. They have it down, right? It's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
and I get it. I would do that too. But
But
Kalanji Changa says things with such a
Heart.
large degree of sincerity that it is an original thought every time, whether it's a firm belief he's had his entire life or something that he has been fighting for decades. I mean, I don't want to age the guy a decade. I don't know. But, but like he is saying things and I'm listening to it going, I hate to think of things in terms of that's a clip, but it's pure gold. And I told him afterwards, I said, I would start to sound facetious if I say this too much, but you don't say anything, it's not worth saying. Like everyone can learn from what you're saying. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Everybody from that Black Power Media is amazing. Actually,
I gotta agree
I've
with
noticed
that.
I think they're currently an undervalued group. I have a feeling they're gonna stick around and keep growing.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very impressive.
And I hope they
what
pick
they've
up
got going on.
the mantle of what I'm going to talk about tonight.
Should we get into it?
Yeah.
Sure. I think
I
we
mean,
should.
we could start, or we could continue to talk about Jake's coughing and sneezing and
Nah, it's all right.
running
Yeah, that'll be
nose
good
and-
content. But
I'm
let's
here
do
for it.
Sandy's thing anyway. We
Well,
can
my
talk
thing's-
about my
it's-
bodily
it's
functions
been
or something
bothering
of
me.
value.
It's been
No, I'm
bothering
down
me
for it.
a
Let's do
lot.
it, man.
And it should bother everyone. And
yeah.
and this is in line with, I've been asking this question, and it's disappointing that it sort of catches people off guard where I say, what's one thing of all the horrible shit going on? what's one thing you think people should know more about that they might not be aware of or thinking about, right?
Okay.
And so I think this falls under that category because this is important on many levels.
It's
Um,
super important in the United States. And, you know, we are pretty much a United States centric show for the most part, I suppose. But this article, it was in USA Today,
let me
and
let me
Jake is
point out.
gonna, I mean,
I,
no,
I'll read
Matt.
it, yeah,
Yeah.
but let me point out that I'm using an extension in Chrome that takes out all the ads and puts it on like this off-white background with brown text.
Oh.
I just
That's
love
cool.
it.
It's probably
Yeah.
better on your
That's awesome.
eyes. That's great.
Yeah, I really think it makes it. It's like, okay, fine, you don't want ads. It's also gonna look like it's from the 70s. Like, this is
I
what the
love
internet
that.
would look like from the 70s, right?
Rextrack
Right.
has me pegged. That's my area of comfort.
Okay, so let's get into this. Trump tried to crush the DEI revolution. Here's how he might finish the job. Now, you guys, stop me anytime. Just interject.
Oh, I will.
I'll quit. Okay. On a cold January night before, listen to these guys. What is this? Sounds like a piece of fiction.
They want
This is
people to read it.
Oh, and this is authored by Charles Dickens, you guys. So listen up. This will be with tons of flourishes. On a cold January night before the New Hampshire primary, Donald Trump traveled to Rochester, a city of blue-collar, culturally conservative voters who swung his way in 2016 and again in 2020. Quote, "We will terminate every diversity, equity, and inclusion program across the entire federal government," the former president declared to a packed auditorium. It was more than just a popular applause line at Trump rallies. Behind the scenes, a coalition of dozens of conservative groups is preparing to make Trump's words a reality, led by the Heritage Foundation think tank, which has helped mold the policies of Republican administrations since the Reagan presidency. Conservatives' interests have drawn up a sweeping plan known as Project 2025 in anticipation of Trump's return to power. Part of that
Can I pause you
agenda.
there for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you see something like led by whatever think tank, that's gonna be, generally speaking, a group of right wingers, wealthy generally, whose job is solely to make formal really disgusting behaviors and beliefs. So you don't have to say like led by a bunch of Klansmen. Instead, it's Heritage Foundation think tank. And people scoot right past that and they don't think about it at all. I'm not saying this is you guys. We know from the jump what's going on. But usually when you see Heritage Foundation turn up in something else, people just assume like, oh, they sit around and solve problems to things. No, they're just a laundry operation for racism, generally speaking. Now we know.
Yeah, well put. And what I almost stopped to comment on there, and I guess I will anyway now, is and I know this isn't the point of the article, but I just hate the way they say Project 25 has been put together by this think tank in anticipation of Trump's return to power. There's no power there. He's just the goof that's in charge so they can pass through their agenda. I don't really see it as power, but I get what they're saying. It's just bugs me. Part of that agenda goes after the decades-long corporate drive to increase racial diversity in cubicles and executive suites. Quote, "The Biden administration has pushed racial equity in every area of our national life, including in employment," according to Project 2025, which runs nearly 900 pages. Yeah, I always think about like, hey, you're affecting my national life. It just sounds like such a horribly corporate thing to say, like the way they word that. But conservatives behind Project 2025 say the private sector has been corrupted by doctrines such as critical race theory, which argues that historical patterns of racism are embedded in law and other American institutions, harming black people and other people of color. They want to reverse the DEI revolution in labor
Diversity,
policy.
equity, and inclusion.
Yeah, and that's their words, the
Mm-hmm.
diversity, equity, and inclusion revolution in labor policy in
Mm-hmm.
favor of more, quote, race-neutral policies. Jake,
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
did you want to say something? I can keep going if you want.
No, I was hacking up a lung.
Nice.
I was gonna toss in comments, but it occurs to me I could do that after the article,
Okay.
so I will.
Let's see. Okay. Getting rid of critical race theory from federal agencies, diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, unconscious bias, we are certainly going to have ideas and proposals ready for a possible new administration. Former Trump administration official Russ Vought, is that how you say that? Russ Vought, who is Voigt?
Yeah, I think Voight.
Yeah, let's say Russ Voigt, who is at advising Project 2025, told USA Today in an interview.
Maybe Vought?
Yeah, I think it's Vought. Let's just go with Vought because it sounds like distraught.
Yeah, it is distraught.
Let's not do him any favors. Civil rights advocates say Project 2025 is the work of a small group of vocal conservatives who are laying the groundwork for a far-reaching rollback of civil rights laws that would water down federal safeguards against racial discrimination if Trump is reelected, or any Republican for that matter, because it's not like if Trump doesn't make it, they're just going to be like, oh, well, it didn't work. They'll beef this up for next time. They are trying to take apart the legacy of these laws that made us multicultural, made us a multiracial democracy, said Alvin B. Tillery Jr., director of the Center for the Study of Democracy and Diversity at Northwestern University. Quote, Trump is just picking up the mantle.
Yes. Trump
So,
and he did. He started to during his administration, and they did they had a head of the OFCCP, the Office of Federal Contract Compliance, which it was changed, and they changed a lot of the enforcement, and people don't understand the OFCCP is the federal agency that is the watchdog, so corporations do the right thing, basically. OFCCP. And every year, as I was the director of HR for a research foundation in the university I was at, and I was the affirmative action officer, I was certified as a certified affirmative action practitioner through the AAAED, which is the American Association for Affirmative Action, Equity, and Diversity. I read this article, and literally it freaked me out. It made me cry because I realized it's going to get much worse. Now, I have not been in my career for a while, and I knew what was happening when Trump came in. But do you want me to explain what the laws are, or do you want to go through this a little bit more, or should I?
it's up to you.
All right,
Go for it.
let me tell you guys. All right, so the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs is the office of the OFCCP. They enforce 3 equal opportunity mandates. The executive order, the 11246. It's as amended, because of course things get amended. Section 503 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, the Vietnam Era's Readjustment Assistance Act of 74 as amended, and they prohibit federal contractors and subcontractors from discriminating on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or veteran status. So they require federal contractors and subcontractors to take affirmative steps to ensure equal opportunity in their employment processes, which share the responsibility with the EEOC, which is the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Enforcing Title I of the Americans with Disability Act. And why is this important? It's important because every people will say, well, what's a federal contractor? Okay. If you have $10,000 or more in money from the federal government, you are a federal contractor or a federal subcontractor. So, for example, in the university, we were a contractor because we had federal grants to run programs, and subcontractors could be the people that we used and paid more than $10,000 with the federal money to run or to do certain things. So affirmative action it was implemented to make sure that there was equal opportunity for all. And it's going to be destroyed. And it's really hard for me to talk about this telling Matt, without crying. When I read this article last week, I fucking cried for 2 days over all this because I was so passionate about this subject. Without these protections, which bring you also with the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, Title 1 and 5 of the American Disability Act, the Equal Pay Act of 1963, Section 501 and 505 of the Rehabilitation Act, and Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which was critical in making sure we had a workforce that was treated properly. And it's not always been that way. And that's the OFCCP's job. And they will take a case if a company is not following. They've made many lawsuits, and that's why the corporations hate them, because they don't want to be sued by the OFCCP or the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, for that matter. So it's critical. And this is what is going to be lost in the United States. And my thing is, you go to work, and especially as a female, you think, okay, I have protections as a female so that I am not harassed or groped. Now, I was an investigator, so I investigated all of these kinds of harassment claims. And believe me, even in academia, there were many. Imagine going backwards. Imagine all the things that I have to say I'm emotional about it because I worked towards all these things my whole fucking life. Women's rights, pro-choice, equal employment opportunity. And imagine going to work and not, as a female, even male, and not being protected from harassment. And harassment can be verbal, and it can be sexual, and it can be touching. Imagine you're in your office and some fucking asshole grabs your ass, and you have absolutely no recourse because there's no agencies that are overseeing any of this. Just think about that.
Really well said. Let's continue. Oh,
yeah. What
do you think?
I've lost the plot. So this is saying it's plans to get rid of the agencies that have these protections.
Yes.
And and more. Here, let's get into it. It's pretty good article. What Trump would do on DEI if elected. The presidential transition plan calls for purging liberal policies and dismantling some federal agencies. Quote, the next conservative president must make the institutions of American civil society hard targets for woke culture warriors. Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation, wrote in the foreword to the policy agenda. So that's from Project 2025. The think tank declined to comment, but Project 2025's director, Paul Dans, told Steve Bannon's War Room podcast, we want everyone walking into office to be literally on the same page for the first 180 days of the next Republican presidency. See, it doesn't even matter if it's Trump. They're just saying the next one.
Right.
The Trump campaign did not respond to a request for comment. Trump has said that he alone is responsible for the policies of future administrations. Laughable. But Project 2025, which outlines an agenda that touches every government agency, offers insights into what those policies might look like. Jonathan Berry, a veteran of the Trump administration and lead author of a chapter on the Labor Department and related agencies, says Project 2025 continues the work of the first Trump White House, which banned diversity training in the federal government and government contractors. The plan broadly reflects where Trump's policy stood at the end of his presidency in 2020, Barry said, adding that, quote, it also represents the direction you would expect to see a second Trump administration go. Among the recommended measures, 1, bar the federal government and government contractors from using taxpayer dollars to conduct training about systemic racism. I don't care if my tax dollars go to that. Abolish the Labor Department's Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs. That's what Sandy was talking about, which is responsible for ensuring that federal contractors comply with anti-discrimination laws. Eliminate disparate impact liability, evaluating whether the impact of a policy varies based on race, ethnicity, or other factors, even if the conscious intent was not to treat people differently. Prohibit racial classifications and quotas, and halt the collection of employment data on the racial and ethnic makeup of the American private sector workforce. Quote, the Biden administration is abusing the law in ways that tend to flatten the human person into identity politics categories, Barry said.
Now wait just a moment right
Yeah.
here.
Right.
Because I want, while this is fresh in the mind, I want to comment on this one aspect. Understand what this boils down to, everything we've just read. They want to get rid of protections for people of color. Any minority, they want to get rid of the protections for them. And if you want to know, if you want to know, is this just hippie speculation, or is there really secretly some principle at work here? Look at Fox News complaining about black pilots for the last couple of weeks.
Christ.
Yep. Yeah.
And they just
Diversity
used
hires
DEI
are bad.
instead of saying
Not-
those
yeah.
GD blacks.
But that's wrong
That's it.
because it says the best qualified applicants. There are no quotas. I have argued with
Yeah,
people
we
for
don't
over
have
25 years about that.
My point being, we don't have to jump to explain why racism is bad. If you're looking at this and wondering, hey, do these people have racist intentions? The answer is yes, and you can look at what is currently happening when you're finding the most cowardly honkies gathering around to use DEI instead of the N-word when they're talking about black pilots. That's just their new talking line. So that's
disgusting.
all this is.
And I love that they say, you're not going to use taxpayers' dollars for this. How much is it really?
Oh, there's a lot in the congressional budget. It's quite a bit to run the OFCCP.
What's it costing me?
Billions. Oh, what is it? A small percentage of our taxes, but cumulatively, it runs big organizations, but they're they're okay, especially the OFCCP, because they're going to go after the companies they're doing the worst deeds. And we had compliance audits. I've been through audits, and I personally was our company, our university. We were audited every year on many things, every year, because we had huge federal contracts. But that's okay. Do the right thing.
I'm cool with paying taxes. I'm cool with my taxes going to stuff like this. I think this is what my taxes should be going toward if I'm paying them, and not the Pentagon budget and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, what are you suggesting my taxes be diverted to if I stop paying for this?
Trump's legal fees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amongst
He's got
the
the
least
Republicans
controversial
now.
things, unless you're a racist.
Right.
All right,
the
go
Biden
on, Matt.
administration is abusing the law in ways that tend to flatten the human person into identity politics categories, Barry said. The goal here is to move toward colorblindness, great,
Bullshit.
and to recognize that we need to have laws and policies that treat people like full human beings, not reducible to categories, especially when it comes to race. Okay,
That is
so
such a lie.
there
Such
is no reason
bullshit.
that we shouldn't be celebrating our diversity and people's race and people's
That's right.
culture and appreciating that everyone is not the same. They're using that They're saying that we're homogenizing the workforce or that we should be homogenizing the workforce as a good thing. It's
Yeah.
just such double speak
Yeah,
that
but it's lying because they are
That's what I'm
not
saying.
colorblind. Yeah, of course you are. And I
It-
mean,
But it's like people reading this in Project 2025 labor chapter or whatever it was are going to be like, yeah, stop making it all about race. We're not making it all about race.
we're
We're
making it about fairness and
Yes,
equity. That's why it's
equity.
called equity and inclusion. And by the way, in my many years of being a practitioner of affirmative action, I never heard the term critical race theory once.
You know what's
Once.
that's I get it. But
It's
you know what's funny is
manufactured bullshit.
here's the definition of equity: the quality of being fair and impartial. So why would you be against that?
Because they're fuckheads. Sorry. I'm really gonna. Oh, by the way, we're not running advertisements on this show, guys. We never said. We
Yes,
never told
not live.
everybody that. We
You know
don't
what? I'm
run
gonna
advertisements
start.
live.
God damn it!
No, you're not.
Jake's just gonna
just
start
No.
holding up
find
magazine
whoever's been
ads.
complaining.
We want
Yeah,
everybody
I'm
to
just gonna
come
start
here.
reading like other shows advertisements. Be like, all right, got a quick
Stop
one from
it,
Harry's
Jake.
Razors here.
Okay, Harry's razors.
The
All right,
the
go
other
ahead.
definition is the value of the shares issued by a company, but like, okay, that's dumb. But I'm saying there's no reason why if you knew what equity was, you would be totally like, all right, that sounds fine. You would never go, now hold
equality.
on a second. What is this about being fair and impartial? That's what it just drives me crazy that they make perfectly fine things dirty words. Okay,
Yeah.
so they're advocating for the return of white privilege. That's what I was thinking when I read that. And on that note, let me just explain one giant misconception that white people have with white privilege. I'll talk about white privilege with somebody, and 9 times out of 10, if they aren't already in the know, they will say, well, hold on a second. I fought and earned every chance I got. I'm not privileged. I worked for what I had. And then I will say, but having the opportunity to work and earn it is what I mean. There are other people who won't even get that chance. That's
Did
your
you
white
drive
privilege.
To work?
Mhm.
Yeah. Did
Right,
you drive
yeah.
to work? When you were driving to work, how concerned were you that a speeding ticket would end in the loss of your life? Was it
Yeah.
not at all? Were you just worried about a speeding ticket on its face? Were you ever on the drive to work, just dealing with that portion of it, on the drive to and from work, were you ever worried that you might look like a criminal to the wrong person?
Yeah,
Because that's the soul of white privilege right there.
Yeah, I literally told a guy, no one's saying that you didn't go to college and earn a degree. I'm saying that you had
Yeah.
a chance to go to college and earn a degree, whereas somebody else probably didn't because
And won't now
they
because
weren't
of the
white.
Supreme Court ruling to take affirmative action out of college entrance.
Yeah. Okay. And so it gets worse. Potentially. Their plan gets worse. Mark Morial, president of the National Urban League, says Project 2025 peddles concepts like race neutrality to reverse the progress women and people of color have made in the workplace over the past 60 years. Before the Civil Rights Act of 1964 made it legal to discriminate, private sector made it illegal to discriminate. Private sector employment was mostly segregated. Even when black people landed positions, they were mostly low-skilled jobs with no authority or mobility. They are not advocating for colorblindness. They're advocating for the return of white privilege. They're advocating for the policies that were used during a segregated America. This is what they mean by make America great again.
Absolutely.
Morial said,
Absolutely.
let's just hide disparities. Let's just pretend they don't exist. Let's sanction things that appear to be race neutral but are discriminatory. According to Justin Gomer, Associate Professor of American Studies at California State University, Long Beach, today's conservative playbook contains much of the same wish list as its first edition, which was prepared for Reagan's presidency, ending reverse discrimination, quote unquote, repealing affirmative action, limiting the Justice Department's ability to file discrimination lawsuits, and this is what I hate the most, preventing the Labor Department from tracking employment statistics.
Which was what I did in the affirmative action plan every single year, and there was nothing wrong with it. And if you had a problem, the statistics helped you to identify the problem so that you could work with it. And the OFCCP would not necessarily give you a monetary fine in an audit if there was a problem. They worked with you to help your company improve and get better.
and
they don't.
The training programs.
Yeah.
just look at the more I am a big believer of pull back and look at the more basic thing that we're talking about. Once again, what do conservatives want to do? Stop us from having full information. Don't track this. Just like they didn't want to track COVID, just like they don't want to track gun deaths, just like they don't want to track, fill in the climate change, fill in the blank. Ask yourself, if you're a Republican or if you know a Republican voter, ask them, why is it Republicans like you ignorant? Why is it they only want you making decisions based off of their read of the situation, and certainly not based off of your own read of the numbers? They would rather those numbers not exist because they're the obvious villains, is the obvious answer. Because they are villains who lie and do evil things. They want these companies to have an all-white leadership board and to not have to endure the embarrassment of talking about that to the public. They want to pretend like it's that DEI isn't needed ever because people aren't racist. That's a figment of your imagination. But F them, they don't want to measure it for a reason. Because they are cowardly racist.
Let me read you something really quickly that first of all, it was Kennedy, right? In 60, it was 1961, Executive Order 10925 on the covered contractors, the general obligation, requiring those positive steps, right? But I've got this pulled up because I want to read to you what President Johnson said in 65 during the commencement. He said, "Freedom is not enough. You do not take a person who, for years, has been hobbled by chains and liberate him, bring him up to the starting line of a race, and then say, you are free to compete with all others and still justly believe that you have been completely fair." So it's taken all these years, and it kills me that we could go so far backwards that so many millions of people will be hurt in this country more than they are now. And
Sandy,
another thing I have to say, everybody that wants to hate Biden, look, I can't stand the guy. Gaza is not the only issue. It's a horrible issue. But it's not the only one. And there are genocides going on in other countries. There are children in Africa that are not going to school to work in lithium mines. There are so many issues. But in our country, equal employment opportunity is one of the core tenets that we should be fighting for. And we still have to live here. And don't get mad at me for saying that. I am horribly disgusted by what's happening in Gaza.
I don't disagree with you, but what comes to my mind when we're talking about this is once again the importance of the House and the Senate. Simply because if we might, let's say we get Biden this time, the Project 2025, that idea is not going to go away unless the Republican Party as a whole does. So I want years and years of protection put in place, in the form of a Congress passing legislation to the opposite effect of this, cementing more difficult to undo legislation. Because they gave us a gift by talking about this, the dumb sons of bitches. Now we know exactly how they're going to attack Americans next, which means we have to win and prepare for it. And the president is important. I'm not going to lie. It's important. You're right. But I want the people who are going to actually write the laws in place. So please, if you're listening out there, give me a blue House and Senate. We'll work with whatever else you can give us, but for fuck's sake, give us a blue house.
And then let's have a revolution. God damn it.
yes.
So
yes.
you know
All right.
what we're saying here is that
Sandy, I love it.
neocolonialism knows no bounds, and if you can't assess atrocities, you can't address the atrocities, right? This is like worldwide. They're going after societies, they're going after cultures, they're going after entire countries. This is just continents. This is just the Republican version of our national lives, or whatever the hell they said, right? So after George Floyd murder,
Right.
people really started to take note. Corporate diversity efforts are broadly supported by the American public. A vast majority of adults, 81%, believe that corporate America should reflect the nation's diversity, according to a recent study by the Harris Poll. So, taking that into account, Project 2025's comments on this are not what the majority of Americans are
not.
looking for. Well, yeah, but I'm just saying this makes
Yeah.
it more obvious. And so, really, who does it serve? Those contractors. It's not serving the taxpayers.
Right.
We obviously
Those
don't care. We're all
contractors.
cool with this. It's
The
private
rich.
contractors, private sector, and so on.
Mhm.
So that, yeah, but the political environment shifted after Floyd's murder. Diversity pledges from businesses spurred a backlash against the woke policies of corporate America. So I remember I guess it was the operations manager of the company I was working for at the time said, Matt, we want you on a panel. Or I don't know if they called it a panel, but there was like 4 or 5 of us who, for the rest of my time there, would meet periodically and determine if our workforce reflected the community and reflected the people that that we served, our customer base. And it wasn't just, this bland group of white people, right? Like just making money. And I was like, I cannot tell you how many jobs I've had where I wish this was the case.
Right.
Yeah, okay, fine. Everyone needs to be qualified, but we can train anybody. Like, you give me somebody who's not qualified and I will train them and make sure they are qualified. So diversity hires as like being like unqualified, that's just garbage. That's garbage.
It's garbage. And I trained. I was a trainer also. I had a pretty hefty position, and I trained in harassment. I trained new employees. I trained, well, they're taught here. Read in the article how they want to take away that, even the ability to train.
Well, I may have passed it. Did I go past it? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It was, I think it was,
the order had an immediate chilling effect on reinvigorated efforts to reverse patterns of discrimination and exclusion in the workplace, worried that diversity training they routinely offered employees might run afoul of the new rules companies protested.
and that's awful. It's like, isn't it sick that in 2024, or even through my career, we had to teach people about diversity? I mean, it's very sad.
I'm with you on that. I thought this was funny. I chuckled when I read this. Asked about his executive order during a presidential debate, Trump said, quote, they were teaching people that our country is a horrible place. It's a racist place. And they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that to happen. Joe Biden retorted, quote, nobody's doing that.
Of course, nobody's doing that.
It's just funny that, I don't know, because nobody's doing that. Biden rescinded the executive order after taking office. So,
Good.
Yeah.
I love this. I don't know what this St. Patrick's Day picture is. It's probably related to some ad, but I love that lady's eyelashes.
Diversity.
She has green. She's green. All
Just
right,
real quick, the
Go ahead.
anti-DEI backlash has only intensified in recent months. Last year's Supreme Court decision striking down affirmative action in college admissions set off a wave of legal threats against corporate diversity policies and programs from conservative activists like former Trump administration official Stephen Miller and anti-affirmative action activist Edward Bloom. Billionaires Elon Musk and Bill Ackman have also assailed DEI efforts as racist.
And it's so not.
It gets to the very nature of what it means to be American, which is that we are all human beings made in the image of God, and we should be equal in the eyes of the law, Vout said. And our law cannot be treating us differently based on our skin color. Now, I kind of hate that they end the article there.
But the law doesn't do that. And that's the whole thing. It does
Yeah.
not do that. Assuring equal employment opportunity does not do that. And it
You know what-
infuriates me, but I'm out of the field, even with, all the shit I did and credentials and training and everything I did. I'm out of the field.
Yeah, but you got
But
a
I can-
platform now.
I can jump. Yeah, but my people don't care.
So here's
that's why I'm here.
here's the thing. I watched that movie, The Zone of Interest. I don't know if anyone's seen that. It's
You
kind of
made
thing
a
like,
comment about it. I haven't seen it.
yeah, it says something on Discord like,
Yeah.
I thought I was ready for this. I wasn't. And I could get specific, but I don't want to spoil anything because there was one aspect or element to the film that I was completely unaware of, although I had heard plenty of people talking about it. I watched the Oscars and all that. And then that one thing made the whole film for me. And I was like, well, cool. Nobody brought that up. I'm not worried about spoilers, but I was like, I thought there was something wrong with my TV. I'll put it that way. So anyway, actually a couple of things. It was really unique. But anytime I watch movies like that, like about Nazis, and do you know the movie, Jake? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not even a little bit.
Okay, the Commandant of Auschwitz had like a nice little house right on the other side of the
heard
wall.
about the movie, but I
Yeah,
haven't
And
it's
seen
the
it.
family
It
living next.
focuses on an upper middle class family and never directly on the camp. And that
That's
is a
so good.
bizarre, bad contrast. Like it was stark how
No,
awful. it was.
that's an important thing I think for modern Americans in particular to see. Like this, look at how people in comfort right next to horror behave.
Yeah. That it's such a those parallels are endless. I mean, I was like, this basically is every gentrified neighborhood. But okay, so that not literally, but you get it.
Mhm.
But while I'm watching movies about Nazis and it's like, oh my God, they're the worst. I always take a second to consider that there's some Americans out there who are like, see the bad guys as a good guy and are rooting for the
Yeah.
bad guys. And
Yeah.
they're like,
Some?
by the end of the movie, they're like, hey, hold on a second. Those were the bad guys? I was rooting for them all the way. And then they made it look like they were all evil. What the fuck? Like, how can you They must think movies like that are like, well, first of all, there was nothing on the other side of that wall. Oh, really? Then why did the Commandant have a house right there? Why did he fight to keep his position as the Commandant so that he could retain that property for his family? Why did all that happen? How do you explain that? And so there, it just always shocks me that people will look at like the end of DEI or watch a movie about Nazi Germany and totally get it wrong. And
Yeah.
it's like you are just justifying some disgusting, whether it's learned behavior or just your own original thought, you are just justifying some like horrific level of bigotry and racism. And it's just
Detestable.
because there's no logic to it whatsoever.
Let me give the only respect I'll ever give to Confederate scum. At least,
boy,
I don't know if
here
you
we
guys
go.
ever read the Articles of Confederation, but at least they had the courage to admit they were evil and wanted to enslave
I see.
black
Yeah.
folks. Because
just admit it.
Yeah, the descendants of these folks are such cowards that they won't just come out and say they don't like
It's our history.
N-words.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at least Johnny Reb back in the day would have the decency to declare himself so I could fix bayonets, shove it through his guts, and move on with life.
Oh, God.
But no. These days they're so pearl clutching. They have to use words like, "Oh, I'm just against DEI. I don't hate black people. I just want to harm black people through the law."
tax or U.S. citizens tax dollars should not go to woke cultural warriors.
Yeah, and
We're gonna
that
call it
that
Okay.
really infuriates me. It just does. I mean, it just does. And oh, I can't
the
even.
concept of
can't
equity
even-
they need to find a chastising name for, because
not gonna have-
otherwise they're out there saying I'm against equity. I'm
Yeah,
against
we're not gonna have
equality.
any fair impartiality around here, buddy. You got me? We're gonna do things unfair and partial. Like, really?
Oh my
Is that
God.
what you're fucking saying? Listen, I'm
Folks,
sorry you don't know what equity means, but
If you
that's
want to
on you.
know, Sandy, Matt, if you want to know who you would have been then, just look at who you are now, because you are now exactly who you would have been then.
I'm cool
If you're
with that.
like, for example, if you think you're the sort of person that might have joined the Underground Railroad, and you're not taking efforts to get birth control to people where it's been banned, or the abortion pill, it's not an insult. It's just, that's our Underground Railroad now, in knowingly breaking the law, knowing that it's the right thing to do.
You know,
Similarly, if you're not marching with Black Lives Matter, you know who you are. But on the other hand of it, don't feel too terribly bad, because you know who Johnny Reb is too. All these folks were
Yeah.
the people that wouldn't have been able to stand Lincoln in office.
I mean,
They
this.
would have.
Oh yeah, and they always use his name as the greatest president. But look, the very next thing is, and hold on, I'll reply to Latino Mufuni in the chat in a second. The very next step here is they will make it illegal and start penalizing people who are conducting DEI practices on the
Right.
job. They will say, no, that's illegal, and taxpayer dollars will go to departments who enforce that law, right? So it's like we're still
then
paying
after-
for
yeah.
that. I mean, it's such a dumb theory.
Well, at
And
least
they're gonna
my
use-
organization is still going. The American Association for Access to Equity and Diversity, and they're still training. They're a 501c6 actually, and it's leading, it's directing, it's managing affirmative action, equal opportunity, and diversity programs. But what's going to happen? They want to protect the policies, meant to ensure. What's going to happen to them? They're still doing it. I knew the director, Shirley Wilcher. I got trained at Quantico, actually. That's where the training was held when I got my certification. I used to go for a lot of trainings. And there's actually a new law. There's a law, Wilcher's law, because she fought against some of
Cool.
the nonsense that was going on. Shirley's amazing. I was really very,
let-
very blessed to been with this group of people. I
You know,
really
there
was.
let me take that a step further. It doesn't only go to it doesn't stop even there, because they're going
No.
to use the cowardice of the comfortable to intimidate. So now, if you get a white person applying for something and they don't get the job, they are going to say, "Oh well, I'm suing because I feel that a black person got the job." So now if you don't hire a white person, it's going to become a liability to turn around and hire a black person or
Well,
a
there
Asian
have been
person.
lawsuits like that have been
There
brought
have,
up.
but my point being, as they wear away at these protections, Matt was saying, it then goes a step further, and they're going to be on the hunt for these protections. What used to be protections, they're going to become liabilities. And I'm saying, yeah. And then once that hunt becomes socially acceptable, the next step is they start using the courts to enforce white majorities in court in the corporate boardroom.
It's a
just,
nightmare.
we cannot give these motherfuckers an inch. And Sandy,
It's
you're
a
so
nightmare.
right to have brought this up.
Yeah,
I
and-
wanted to say something really quick to who was it? To Pinkerbell.
Well,
I'm not a fan. They just used it was a great place to go because at the time it was when Obama was president, and it was available for training. So
the article name is "Trump Tried to Crush the DEI Revolution. Here's How He Might Finish the Job." It's at usatoday.com. Check it out. I couldn't post the link; it was too long.
I'll put the
that's what
link
it
in
is.
mine if people want to find it.
There are whole swaths of people out there who are trying, who deliberately it's almost like they want to be dumb or like not smart because they feel like that's easier to get. Like if you claim to be smart or you think you're supposed to be and then you sound stupid, you're dumb. But if you never claim to be smart, okay, I got nothing to lose. There, like, for example, this is incredible. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said, I only know 25 letters in the alphabet. And he didn't know why.
Oh
That was
my
a long
God.
setup.
You rat bastard.
Oh, I've been trying to find a way to insert that fucking joke.
You did it. You did it. You got
I
us.
just read a book as I was sick.
Oh, I thought you meant during that
explained-
setup.
Yeah. No, I got through it. It was a George Martin book too. It's a hell of a long joke.
Oh shit.
No, it was a George Martin book. It was called Fever Dream, which I felt was fitting.
Appropriate, yeah.
And it explains a kind of intelligence. I frequently make fun of myself for not being terribly bright, but I saw a character that I related to, and that was somebody who would it would take them literally months to get something, but eventually they'd get there. Like he would write this character who would address a plot point from months back because they finally come up with an idea. That was the only thing I related to. Unfortunately, it doesn't work so good with jokes.
I want to read that book.
I wanted to tell you something
It's
too.
so good. It's a vampire book.
Oh,
Okay.
neat.
Can I change up a little tiny bit?
Yeah.
You can change
All
up
right.
a lot of bit.
Guess what? I get an email, vote socialist in Ohio this November and April volunteer meeting.
Those two gals, yeah.
Claudia and Karina will be on the Idaho ballot. Socialism is on the ballot in Idaho.
Cool. Good.
In Idaho, of all places.
Wow, that's
So
great.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? Little by little, it's a grassroots campaign, and they want to spread the word about this powerful socialist campaign. And it's they're on the ballot in Utah and Hawaii, and achieving a clear lead in the Peace of Freedom primary in California. So maybe there are things happening that we can get involved in.
Should
that
we
are
have
positive?
Should we have candidates on this show as a guest?
Why
I
not?
would love that.
Why
Yeah.
not?
Okay.
I would, you know what I'd like, especially because I told Pink and a whole lot of folks from the gang that I would do this. I would like to have local candidates for office. If we know
Yeah, that's what I used to do.
progressives who are running for state level or even just district level, like representing the House or representing their district in the House of Representatives, I would love that.
Yeah,
I
why
haven't
not?
the foggiest, but I'll try to get.
I
to lead.
did it in 2018. I had tons of progressive candidates on my show back in the
Hell yeah.
day. So,
Hell yeah, Sandy.
I interviewed
You
a lot
got
of
the
local
experience then.
people. Well,
I'm gonna lean
yeah,
on you for this.
I like interviewing, but
For me, it's like I'm having a couple on my show, but my show is more about online media, so it makes
Sure.
sense if the two candidates I'm going to have on the show to interview also do podcasts. So I'm
Great.
like, okay, that works. I could probably get somebody on here by next Wednesday, but let's
yeah,
I'll-
but it's
I'll
it's
tell
just
you who they
something
are
to
off
think
air, and then
about.
we could talk about it. Yeah, I think it'd be cool.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, people that other people don't know, and maybe
That's what I'm
that
saying.
understand a little bit more about the climate crisis, and that it's not just the Green New Deal is going to fix everything. People that are in the know, that understand.
Remember when I sound like that Chris Farley
Make
bit.
that face,
Remember
Jake.
when
Oh,
Harvey K was on last week? Wasn't that awesome? So
Yeah,
remember
that was
when
awesome.
Harvey K was talking about going to that like climate awareness event and they had a green carpet, but it was plastic. Doesn't that just say
Right.
so much
Well,
about
like when I
I
went to the march in
co-opting?
2018 and we stayed behind to pick up all the signs and garbage, fucking people left behind
Yeah,
all over the place.
exactly.
Same thing when I went
Exactly.
to Woodstock 94. We stayed behind, and my
Oh,
God, I got tents,
you were at
I mean,
Woodstock
yeah.
90. Hold,
Yes, I'm
hold,
old.
hold, hold. No, hold on, hold on.
Were you there?
No, I
Oh.
was at Graceland. But
Oh.
I literally had the decision. Woodstock, trip to Graceland.
Oh, it was
We
wet
went to
and muddy,
Graceland.
but it was
Um,
great.
so hold on a second. Do
Ah.
you have any that must have been a wild time, right?
Yeah, it was.
How
I
long were you
was.
there?
Well, the whole time, and then we stayed and came
What's that
back and
mean?
picked.
How
Well,
long
it
was
was
it?
3 days. 3 days
Okay, and you were
in the
there exactly
with my
3
girlfriend
days?
Sue.
No
Yeah,
buffer?
about that because friends of mine lived near there, so
What
they
was your
drove
favorite
us.
band?
I loved what's oh God.
How
No, no,
many
no.
different kinds of
The
drugs
Red
did you
Hot
do?
Chili Pe- the Red Hot Chili
Ah.
Peppers. I was with my friend Sue, who is
Were
now
you ever
deceased.
sober?
Yes.
Oh,
I was
that's
sober.
boring. For how long?
No,
Why? Because you had
How
to
did you hear
sleep at
about
some point
Sue?
and it just happened naturally when you were
because
asleep?
I
That doesn't
actually
count.
did not like drinking there that much. I
Yeah.
would rather there were other things I preferred, but Cheryl Crow. Oh, she was my favorite.
Oh,
Cheryl
cool.
Crow, I loved her. Red Hot Chili Peppers. And if you ask me to remember, I have the soda bottle. I have an iced tea bottle from '94. I used to go to a million concerts. I have all the tickets left. My father used to buy them when he went down to the city, like and I went to the Academy of Music and the Felt Forum in Madison Square Garden. And then the one thing about the Academy of Music in New York City back in the day was the boys' bathroom was notorious, where you could get your little purple dot of mescaline. They were the best thing on the planet.
Okay.
Nobody
Oh.
does those, I don't think anymore. But I mean,
I
I
wouldn't
have
say
had a
nobody.
long life and a lot of experience in a lot of things, and I don't always talk about everything, but
Fear and Loathing at Woodstock. That sounds
Yeah.
epic. When I
Does.
That
turned
was funny.
40, like at some point halfway through, I was like, you know what? I haven't felt this good about life since 1994. Because I graduated in 93. And so by 94, I was like,
I'm not telling y'all
I'm
how
out
old
there
I
and I'm
am.
loving every minute of it. It felt so great.
Oh, I'll
It
put
was
it this.
free.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool though. And I feel bad. My friend Sue took her own life, and I have the
Oh, that's too
pictures.
bad.
Yeah, it was horrible. It just shouldn't have happened, but
Must have been some good memories though
I
from
have a lot of good memories, yeah. When I can remember them.
nice.
Listen, I have to ask my kid to remember shit from when she was growing up. I'm like, "Kid, will you please
That's what
help me
photo albums are
remember?"
for.
Yeah, I
Hello.
know. I have many of those. Yeah, I know. I just think it's funny. And it's not dementia or anything. It's like I always have so much going on in my head at one time. And another thing, I have to say this, and I don't want anybody to get upset. I have so many people writing to me every single day on Facebook Messenger, emails, Twitter, all that. I can't keep up with all the people, and I love them all, and I want to. But if I was to do that every day,
It'd be
I
your job.
literally, guys, and I don't want anybody to be upset over that. I'm trying, and now it's gardening season, and now I've got so much work to do here with barely any help. 6 acre, homestead here. So, you know, I just anybody want to come camping and help me? Sean and Warren won't be here till June. I need help like next month.
My friends and I, but these are the guys I grew up with. I saw some of them recently. It was so
Yeah.
great. But
Yeah, you did.
we had a friend who took his own life, and it was tragic. And we talk about him all the time. It either starts somber or ends up somber, and the rest of the time we are dying laughing. We have the greatest memories. So I just tell people, talk about them every chance you get, because tragedy strikes in all forms, and that's one of the most, that's one where you're just constantly like, why?
Because sometimes suicide runs in families, and Sue's father had committed suicide, and she followed right in his steps and did it the exact same way. And she was
Yeah, I
only
mean,
40.
that's what I mean. It's tragic either
It was
way,
horrible. My daughter's still destroyed over it.
but what, you know, so
I
there
know
are
we
no
talk
real
about the
silver
good things.
linings, but I mean, my God, we cannot bring it up without somehow falling into just an hour of just remember this time, remember that time, and we'll
Of
repeat
course.
the same stories. And as long as somebody else is telling it, it's a whole different spin. But anyway,
Yeah.
okay, so I did go to Graceland after high school. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I
hey,
did.
that's
I'm not going to
wrong
talk about it,
show.
but I did go. I did go.
This is not your truth or
It
dare
was
show.
cool. We wore suits, Jake. You'd be proud.
Oh, hell yeah.
There's 3 of us.
Hell yeah.
We wore suits in there.
Oh.
People were like, "Look at these guys! Wow!"
People
and it
in
was
our
it
chat.
was
the way
hot.
to-
It's a hot day.
Oh, guys,
It's a
people in our
baller
chat
move.
are definitely sharing some painful things, and I just want to tell you, I hear you. I see it.
Yeah, no one in here is alone, by the way. Okay.
No. Oh.
What?
Think of
I
someone
mean, there's
randomly throw under the
endless.
bus.
What'd you say?
I was trying to think of someone I could randomly throw under the bus, except for Rextrack. Rextrack's alone, but nobody else.
There's nobody to throw under the bus
70s
except for
comedy
all
figure.
the politicians on the
Jake,
planet.
Jake is like one of the recurring characters in like the Bob Newhart show, like the Office setting,
Yes,
not the
The
bed
Office.
and breakfast.
The Office.
Yeah.
Jake, you're in the office.
Rextrack, you always
Hey,
Even
there's
like-
a new
Jake,
Hell's
never mind.
Angels whole show coming up. I saw on one of the. I
Wait,
can't wait to see it.
wait. They're normalizing like a reality show.
No, I think I don't know. I just saw something on it.
Okay, it better not be a reality show.
I
because
know
that
it's
is
not a
cool.
reality show. No, but I think it's
That'll ruin the whole image.
I don't know,
Yeah, I was
but
gonna
I'm
say-
like I saw it. I haven't really looked into it, but there's another whole area of people don't realize how my life I was involved in motorcycle clubs pretty much my whole life. And you could be and they were a
I've seen
bunch of
pictures.
fucking racists, okay? I
Oh,
will
yeah.
tell you how I learned about racism was from being involved with old men that were in these clubs, not the Hells Angels, but the Outlaws and the Kingsmen. And it taught me a lot. And I think that was a big part of why my career went the way it did, because I really understood it, And you really can't say too much about all this shit online. I don't want anybody to come
Right.
over and,
I-
hurt me. I've been there too.
I
You know, I-
invite you sorry, my bad. Let me try that again. I invite anybody in a motorcycle club or whatever who dares think they can get away with that racist nonsense in my presence to take a whack at it. Go ahead.
It's not as bad, at least, as it was back in the 80s and 90s. At least people did change, and but yet it's hard for them to change. It is. They're not inclusive.
I don't care how hard it is. Don't let anyone in your presence get away with that. Don't make there
Well,
be
neither
a
one of my
safe space.
husbands did.
First,
Good.
No.
first reaction to change. Remember,
I'll tell you, their first reaction
Resistance.
is going to be a vicious beating.
second
'cause
reaction,
my patience is
acceptance.
gone.
So you just gotta take a beat. And you'll accept the change.
They'll get one.
It's right around the corner. Okay,
Um,
so
Can you put
I-
up 0 PEs really quick?
Which one?
I hate to say it, but I did like watching Sons of Anarchy, and they were a little racist too. I do have a little funny story about that. When Sons of Anarchy was on, we used to go to the clubhouse and watch it. And these fucking guys used to just sit there and like imagine. And they were all in a club too, but it was a different club. The
oh,
last
it was like the Bible to them.
well, they
They
just
were
like
like, "This
watching
is holy
yeah,
text."
yeah. I swear to God, it was hilarious. But the second club wasn't terrible and when my first husband left, he retired out or he left, they got horrible things happened after that, and it was a good thing that he left. And my second husband actually wasn't in a club. He had no tattoos either. And he said he would put out his arms, and I'm all tattooed, and he would put out his arms and he'd go, I have the right to bear arms.
Jeez. Hey, there's
Oh, shit.
pretty good dad
I'm a
joke.
two-time
That
loser,
was
right?
good.
Oh, shit.
Damn, now I forgot what I've been
Oh,
trying to
come on. I'm
interrupt you
sorry.
guys with.
I interrupted you.
No, I've been trying to interrupt you for 20 minutes. What was I
what's-
going to say?
never
Damn
mind.
it.
What's one of your tats? I've never seen them.
Oh, God.
Yeah, what do you got?
Well, this one, wait.
Oh, wow, look at the sunset coming
yeah.
through. The green
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah.
The heart.
Wow.
Wait, can you? I don't know if you can see
It's
the.
wild.
This one
That's
is a.
so cool.
It's what this one is a key in a heart,
Okay.
I like it.
and my
Yeah.
daughter has the lock. I have the key and I have
Aw.
the lock. And I'm tattooed all over. To be fair though, at work I didn't really show them. I was a corporate looking person at my job, but I rode my Harley on Fridays.
That's fun.
Yeah, I
That's
did.
so
I rode on
wish-
Fridays during the nice weather. Of course, I was in Buffalo, but it's a drag that I had to sell it last year because now I'm like, God damn, Sean and Warren both have Harleys and they're going to come. And even though I hurt everywhere all the time, now I'm like,
I don't have the responsibility to own a motorcycle. Like it's just my brother had one, and I quickly it killed any dreams I had of owning one. It's just all like the little things. Like if it ever falls on its side, it immediately loses half its value.
yeah, but you don't
No.
fall on your side. I never fell and I
Yeah.
rode. I got my first Harley at age 26. Never
would
The
like-
kind of
fell.
guy that would park it
I'm a great
and
rider.
get off it and then be like, did I do the kickstand? And
Oh.
right behind me, you'd hear crash.
Are you really that kind of
Yes.
guy? Oh, well, then
Yes.
you can never have a
Entirely
motorcycle.
Jake,
too
just
dumb.
get a cafe racer. You'll be fine. Those are so
What's a
small and
cafe
cool.
racer?
Or a little Honda 400, you could pick it up with no problem.
A cafe racer? Are we gonna? Here, I'll show you. They're
Yeah,
Let me
so
put it like
the
nice.
this:
lean
if it's
over.
cheap enough that if I wreck it by leaving it out by a pond and it rolls into the pond, it's not gonna destroy me financially.
everybody
That's
wants
where
one.
it's got to be.
What do I do? Start showing everything.
Oh.
I mean, they go
That's a
all over.
rad
And
one,
see the
though.
little pig? Well,
Yeah.
all of my girls, I was in a club called the Pig Girls, and we all had the little pig because we all
That's
rode
adorable.
together. Yeah, but they're all old. I mean, I got everything updated back in Jesus Christ, a long time ago. And I don't plan on getting any more. I mean, what for? I'm old. Who gives a shit?
You can handle this, Jake. Look,
Yeah,
Well,
look
if
at that
we're
little
talking-
boo-boo.
If it's inexpensive, then yeah, I'm back. Absolutely, I like that a lot.
I
I like that
always
look.
look at motorcycles as a kind of thing where you should, and same with vintage cars. Like you should know how to work on them if you're gonna own one. You should know how to modify them yourself. You know what I mean? You should know how to do
Well,
repairs. But
I didn't on
but
my
the
second
bigger
one,
the
my first one,
motorcycle, the
yes.
more difficult that is, and the more expensive it is. So,
Oh, hell
like,
yeah.
Jake, you strike me as the kind of guy. If you had a cafe racer, you'd be like, I want to take it apart and put it back together, or at least know how it works.
Coffee.
Beyond, I'm the guy who's like gas and oil, right? Ignition, pedal, steer. I got the. Actually, there was this great time travel movie where people were all. It was Vincent D'Onofrio. People were always like, he was very open. He's like, I'm a time traveler from the future, and they're like, oh yeah. How's your time machine work? He goes, I don't know. How's your car work? And they were like, pretty good. He's like, most people just know gas, oil, ignition, drive, right? Here's the brake. Here's the gas pedal. That's it.
Well, I knew more about my second one, shovel heads, the older bikes than my Fat Boy because that was more technological. But that's what Harley Davidson is for. The yearly, you go bring it there and fix shit. But I also had a friend that had a mechanic shop for Harley, so he put the cam on my bike. I had lights, and I mean, I had a really trick bike. Nice, the last one is
I
gorgeous.
mean, you had like a TV show setup.
My
Everything around that's so cool. You got your girls, you all have matching tattoos. You've got your guy with the shop. That's just it sounds cool as hell, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I look back and I think some parts of my life was definitely not cool, No, that
I saw some
Not
of those
some of them.
pictures though. It was objectively cool. Even if not all of it was cool. There were
not
moments.
because I was a victim of abuse and beat the shit by the first boyfriend in the
No,
outlaw.
there-
You can't see that from
yeah.
the pictures. I'm just
No.
saying.
Yeah.
You can't see that
No,
from
but
the
it's always
pictures.
in my memory
There's
of
no way.
that horrible stuff happening. I mean, I had a broken jaw, And then I had yeah, but I didn't marry that. I married a
Those
great
guys are
the
still
first.
walking around?
Who the fuck knows? I hope
Oh,
they're
I was gonna
dead. But
say,
no, my
let's
first
look 'em up.
husband never touched me. My second husband never touched me. They were good guys.
Hell
I
yeah.
married a very
I'm all
good,
about vengeance,
great
though.
guy. Well, I think the one that broke my jaw, Dirty Harry, he's dead. I'm pretty sure he's got to be dead. There's no way he's alive. And then I found out John, the other asshole. These were before I got married. I mean, all this shit happened young. He lives in some kind of. I found this out last year. He sponges off his kid, and he lives in some dump in New
That sounds
Jersey.
right.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Man, he was good looking too. What an asshole!
Doesn't count. See,
I
but that
know. That's my problem. I like
doesn't count.
friggin' men that had long hair and were good looking.
I mean,
assholes.
dime a dozen, really. They're out there. I mean,
I don't want another one. Trust
No, I'm
me.
just saying you don't have to focus on the jerks. Okay. No, that's what people
my
always
only
go.
benefit. I've got a good-looking asshole, but the rest is just.
Oh, stop, Jake.
Jeez. We're full of triggering topics tonight.
A
Okay.
good-looking
Winking Pete, I
asshole.
call it.
There is a.
I'm dying. Oh my
We have
god.
some super chats. Let's check these
We
out.
do. Does everybody like when I start talking about? My friend Sam, who has a channel called Collapse Chronicles. He's been on Soft White Underbelly, and so has Elliot Jacobson, which is the show. Big Billy, like lot of subscribers. He was trying to talk me into going and being on Soft White Underbelly and say, as a, with all the fucked up shit that happened to me in my life and how I could be somebody who could be a good inspiration for other people that can actually get out of bad situations, but I just can't go that public. This is public enough, the stuff
Yeah.
I said.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
can't do that. It's just, I don't think, who am I going to help?
There are some.
Jackie Lukman. Who's talking about Jackie Lukman? I know her. I've stayed at her house, and we went to the climate march together, and we all had environmental coffee house shirts on. Jackie, yeah, Jackie Lukman. Yeah, I
That's
stayed at her house
awesome.
in D.C. She's a good friend.
I drew I
Isn't
had a
that
picture
funny?
of her on my interview.
Oh my
earlier.
God, I love
If you don't mind.
Jackie.
Zero.
Let me
PE.
read the super chat.
I've
Oh,
had
go
a
ahead.
hell
Or
of
you
a
do.
life. Okay.
Yo, you got to get Jared from Millennials Are Killing Capitalism on. He's based as two and a good friend of Black Power Media. That's awesome. Also, Jackie Lukman, too. Thanks.
she's
Wonderful. Zero
wonderful.
PE. Where'd you hear about Jackie Lukman? That's awesome.
She's a host
have
on
a
Black
channel?
Power Media.
I love her. Oh,
Oh.
my God.
Yeah.
We had such a good time at the climate march, and unfortunately, her
her show
husband
is
passed
great.
away.
They have.
She's amazing.
They have all. Oh, what is it? There's one day a week where they have all female host in the morning for the morning remix show, and she, I believe, is the host of that. It's
She
fantastic.
taught
She's
me
great.
a lot. Yes, she did. We were together in Philly also in 16, and then we went to the climate march together in 18.
Well, I just subscribed to Millennials Are Killing Capitalism. Thank you for the recommendation, Zero PE. I appreciate that as
Right.
always. My dogs are goth, $10 Canadian, which I think is a nickel in the US. She said 50 cents recently, but I
Thank
don't
you.
know.
It doesn't
Um,
matter. I'm happy that
Yeah,
Thank
we
you very
miss
much,
My
my
Dogs
friend.
Are Goth. Busy
It's a
tonight, but
significant amount of
listening
money.
as I do things. Sandy, what you said about DEI was so impassioned and perfectly said. It gave me goosebumps. Thank you for that. Much respect. My Dogs Are Goth, one
love her.
of the most loyal members of our community. We have a lot of
OG.
them, but I see My Dogs Are Goth
I love her.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Thank you for the super chat.
beautiful
Preach.
person. Thank you.
And her goth
What else
dogs
do we
are
got
featured
going
in
on?
Fight
Anything
Night.
else, you guys? We've been on for I
Groove
don't know.
Dragon. There are drunk bikers. There are old bikers. There are no old drunk bikers.
Good
I
one.
don't know.
Good one.
But there are, but they are dying off. A lot of them. A lot of my old people or old friends they're dying off.
Yeah. Okay. So, what else? What else? I mean,
I think
still
it's been
feel
a good
bad that I
show.
cursed earlier.
Oh, I've
Didn't
been.
mean to let
I
that
got
one.
a passion all night.
whatever, dude. I feel like, I mean, we're not monetized anyway. So,
Fair
cares?
point.
Do your worst, YouTube. I would love if YouTube and the NSA watched our entire episode just to find that one moment.
Or learn something.
Next time, put it toward the end. And Sandy, I get it. And this is probably, me being a jerk. But if you're going to cry about a story, do it on air so we can get clicks like CNN.
Yeah.
It'll become its own thing.
Yeah, well, I cried for 2 whole
every
days
time,
over that whole
every
thing.
time somebody on CNN is verklempt, they're like, oh my God, this is gold. Please. There's a producer saying, hold it in, shake the bottom lip.
Yeah.
Let it out, right? There's a producer who's latched on to, they're trying not to cry. Housewives around America are crying right now. They are not looking away. I can't stand it.
Like Britt, what's her name? The jerk that did the
Katie Britt.
Katie Britt
Britt?
sounded like she was gonna cry the whole time in her kitchen with her little.
I don't know what that was. That
it
was
it was a
bad acting.
coached bad acting
That
thing. It was
horrible.
horrible. But if that's
Horrible.
where they want women to be, holy shitski, and that's pretty fucked up.
Andrea and I had commentary on. We went live and had a commentary on her channel about the State of the Union. It was so irreverent, and she had a bingo card, and it was so fun. But we were I felt like somewhere along the line, I was like, we are the exact opposite of what's going on Jake's channel. Let me tune in.
Yes.
And then I started watching Jake, and I was like, oh my God, he's so composed and like being reasonable. And like saying things that make sense.
you let off that stream with like, you're not gonna catch us apologizing for Biden. It cuts to me like, let me just apologize for Biden real quick.
Yeah. We have a
exactly
diversity of channels here. And I miss
Yes.
Andrea tonight a lot.
Well, I wanted to talk about it a little bit. I mean, we don't have to because it's getting late.
Hell
but,
yeah, I would love to.
but my
I love
thing,
to.
there was a lot of Biden saying, like, just for example, the one thing I can remember at the moment was he said, and we need to raise the salaries of our teachers. Get it done. And I was like, what? Who the fuck are you talking to? Like, he said this over and over. He had this big list of things that we should be doing. Let's
But
get it
it's
done. It's like, who?
Locally. We can't, how can he
Get
get
it done,
That's
motherfucker. I thought you were the most powerful man in the world. You
Well,
can't
what he
get
was
teachers
saying-
better. What was he saying? This is what I want to know. What the fuck was he saying? And why didn't he say what you're about to say?
Talking to the
Yeah,
union.
Why do
Because-
you need to interpret it for me, a reasonably intelligent guy?
Exactly. That's my biggest beef with most politicians, because they assume that we understand all of the context that they're driving at. What he was driving at is elections are coming up. Replace these bums. Replace these Republicans. With
Why did he
people
say
who will
that?
Get it done. No, he didn't, because he's not
He
supposed
didn't.
to be using the State of the Union for politicking, which he rather blatantly did. But nonetheless, I mean, that it's just what it's come to. It's not even Biden didn't make that decision.
Why do
But,
they even do the State of the Union if it's not political?
Well,
what
to
is it?
literally tell people, give a report to the American people.
Man, that's
on
a
what
tweet.
The state of.
That's a fucking tweet.
But once upon a
I
time,
didn't
it
watch
wasn't.
it.
So it's.
I didn't even watch you do it, Jake. I think I tuned in for a few minutes, but I
It's
can't
always
cringe.
political.
It hurts me to cringe. And I cringe
But
too
the
much.
point being, the actual message there was to say, get this stuff done. And if it's not going to be Republicans doing it, then give me somebody other than Republicans who will get it done.
Yeah, Socialist Party.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I-
Honestly.
What I say last week, I already wrote to the Socialist Gun Club, and I said, please,
Hell
let's open a chapter here where I live.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to be in a gun club with all these fucking right-wing Yahoo haters.
Yeah.
Militiamen. It's
Yeah.
spring break. And,
I just want to target shoot.
Tinkerbell with a $5 super chat. It's spring break, and we are on day 3 of my kids following me around and narrating everything I do with trombone and slide whistle sound effects. That is awesome.
How cute is that?
That is awesome.
Oh my God.
It's-
They're like,
they're
Mom, wouldn't you
hilarious.
rather use a staple than a paperclip? I'm just kidding. I had a
And then
guy
when
in an
you-
office job who used to do that. He would
Was she-
bring he would bring me papers and go, paperclip? We should staple this. And I'm like, then staple it. What are
Oh
you?
God,
I was like, "You're talking to me? We should probably shut up."
that's funny. Then
Yeah,
when she
be a
gets
little
my
more
age,
blatant.
she'll have to ask her kids,
Boom.
"What happened then with the trombone?"
Yeah. Pendulous Dragons at
uh,
work enjoying the stream. Thanks, guys. Thank you,
see,
Pendulous
and
Dragon.
we
I
want to keep
love
your
that people are
rights.
listening to this at work, and like
Absolutely.
with headphones, and they hear me do a dad joke, and then their coworkers are like, "What's he cracking up?" No, I'm just kidding.
They're like, why do you look suddenly furious?
He is
Suddenly
laughing really
Oh
hard.
my
livid.
God.
Like someone's both disappointed you and made you quite angry.
That's funny.
Uh,
All right, guys.
Oh my
So it's
God.
11:27, an hour and a half. I can't believe I made it this long.
Fair enough.
I am going to reach out with you guys about a political candidate, and I'm sure we will all agree to have them on. And if so, I
Yeah.
would like to invite them ASAP. So look for that on Discord tonight.
Be great.
Anything you want to plug for the rest of the week, y'all?
I got a cool activist Friday night, Ivor Lafring. He's an activist, climate activist, peak oil, understands peak oil. It's going to be an interesting show. He's not a young guy, which I've been bringing on a lot of the younger people. But I think he'll be interesting, and he knows a lot. So look for that Friday night. Oh, and it might be a little later. That's the problem. 9:30 Eastern, because it might go into your show because he's got an event and I canceled him last
All fair. Don't
Tuesday
worry.
night because I wanted to start my Tuesday night.
I will
Last
stall
week in
for time.
collapse every Tuesday. I know, such a
I
happy
really like that, by the way.
last week in collapse.
That-
Well,
that
if
was
you
good.
listen to everything going on in the world, you'll know. Collapse is pretty much the word.
I will.
Sorry.
I do have. Oh, sorry. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, don't worry about overlapping shows. My God, let's flood the airwaves. Go, Jake. What do you got?
Yeah, I have a surprise coming up on my stream actually,
When?
and here it is.
Oh, he did it. He
Yeah.
did it. All
That's what we
right.
can expect from Jake's stream, you guys. Dead air.
The goodbye. Well, I've enjoyed it. Thank you,
Jake said-
everybody in all the chats for coming. Poppy, love you.
Agreed.
I mean, all of you. Jean, all of you. Jan, the conversation was great. And, even when people don't always agree with each other, it stays civil. And I know that my chat is full of a lot of radical people and maybe not so radical, but it's an awesome, respectful chat, just like yours is. Just like Andrea's is, and just like Jake's is. So I want to say thank you to all of you. Because you're why we're here.
Likewise. Yeah. And I'll be back Friday,
Yeah,
10 p.m.
Yeah.
And then, we'll hang out for a little while, maybe an hour or so.
I'll be
Shoot
there
the
after I'm
breeze.
finished with Ivor.
Then I'll do some reading.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I can't say this enough. Monday, my show starts at 8 p.m. It's
Okay,
early Monday.
that's
I have
okay.
Jen Perlman on.
Oh, that'll be fun. Yeah. I
Podcast
really
host
will.
and running for Senate, and her co-host will be on
Great.
as well. So,
Right?
8 p.m. Eastern. It's way early. I'll probably keep going after the interview. So that could be fun. I might have a guest, might just do a call-in, might just hang out.
Terrific. All right.
All right, well, Sandy, it's a pleasure as always.
Peace,
Um,
everybody.
Ditto.